Good evening, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box. My name is Natalie Cromie, and I am the content director here at the Secret Wealth Project. And tonight, I am joined by the fabulous Thomas Parkinson. Hi, Tom. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm just having some coffee. If you don't know me, I like coffee. So I'm very happy.
Well, good to hear it. I have definitely seen some of your stories, your Facebook stories, and I've seen some of the coffee. Considering the part of the world that you are in, there have been some questionable coffee choices.
Yes, you are right. I drink Nescafe and I'm really bad, or like Kenko. But it's simple and I just like a simple life. That's it. But there is some very good coffee in Latin America, and even when I lived in Vietnam, there's beautiful coffee out there as well. So you are right. I should be drinking good quality coffee. So sorry for all the coffee connoisseurs out there.
We forgive you. But at least, I'm sure at some point you would have sold your fair share of Azura or something like that, being an Amazon arbitrage seller. Surely everyone has at some point. Hopefully, I think I think everyone in their warehouse has probably got some Azuras. Maybe when you're back in the UK, we can all send Tom some good coffee, maybe. Right. Are we live? I forgot to ask that. Yes, we are. Armando's joined us. Good evening. Cindy's joined us watching on YouTube. We'll just wait for a few more people to jump on. If you can let us know if you can see and hear us okay, if that's okay. I don't think typical, my phone's playing up. Stephen Parsons, what's up? Yeah, good to see everyone jumping on. Peter's joined us as well. Good evening, both. Good vibes. I'm liking this. Well, just before we jump in live and get chatting to Tom, then just give us a bit of an update since we spoke last week. Since most of us have had the opportunity to catch up, we've had Black Friday since then.
Mm-hmm.
Done, dusted. It's over. It's traditionally the start of when we start seeing some crazy sort of sale periods, sale days, record days. So let me know in the comments how your Black Friday weekend has gone. Was it as expected? Was it better than expected? Or was it worse than expected? So it's good to hear people's thoughts on that. And just while we're hearing that, Tom, how was your Black Friday weekend? Because I saw some pretty great screenshots from yourself, especially from the US market, which by the look of what you were saying with the screenshot, it was kind of not expected. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so like UK, we actually did more at the beginning of the month than we did on like Black Friday weekend. So it's kind of like done really well, dropped down, pretty much being consistent, and then picked up a bit, but not huge. We did see a spike, but it wasn't much. And then again, I don't really know. And I think maybe it's like our product mix. We had a look at like, should we say how many toys and games we had, what kind of, what our product range was, and try to get an understanding. And that kind of led us into questions about Q4 and Christmas. And obviously I can talk about them later. But certainly in the US, we've just started in the US. The results have been incredible. We've been like, I think it's 6 months now, and we're going to finish this month on probably about $65,000. And considering last month we did like $25,000, the graph just goes whap. That's it. And literally, I posted it on my stories as like, I don't actually understand what's going on here. This is like crazy. So really happy with the team. Absolutely, they're doing an amazing job. But I think it just shows you the power of Amazon if you can really start to figure it out and grow the model. And I'm really enjoying the US journey, but also the UK journey is absolutely amazing as well. So it's nice to have two marketplaces and see that.
Yeah. It is, and we'll definitely come on and talk about that, because I think we ourselves have ventured into the US market over the last 6 months as well. Slightly different model. We're on the private label side of things, but I think more people are starting to talk about the US market. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more people venturing into the US market in 2022. From a mix of the different kind of Amazon communities, because it is, when you think about it, been doing Amazon for 6 years. And then when you actually do it, and we did it sooner than we were expected expecting to do it. We had an unexpected opportunity come our way. And, you know, we were always wanting to do US, but it you know, never seemed the right time. But a great opportunity came along. We couldn't turn it down. Really fantastic. And then when you're doing it, you were thinking, why didn't I do it before? Because it's, I mean, I don't want to put it out there. You guys know me, you know, and I always say when it comes to arbitrage, bundles, you know, whatever, it's the way we talk about it. Sometimes it sounds like it's easy, and I don't want to give that impression, but it's definitely a lot easier in terms of the process of setting up than I thought it was going to be. And I don't know if you felt the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're in your home country, you know, the US, obviously we had to go and create, you know, like LLCs and figure that out and learn about taxes, but it's not too challenging. You can do it. It just has a bit more upfront cost. But if you're in the UK or in your home country, you know, you're just trading under your name. It's the reason why I love, you know, people are like, why do you do arbitrage? Why do you not do private label? Why do you not do this? Is the very fact that the barrier to entry is super simple. You know, you can start with like $500, you know, £100, and yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I don't deny that, but just how easy it is to get started is amazing. So, like, you know, we always look at, like, you know, should we say, what's your risk factor? So when you're going in, putting 500 in, okay, I'll go see what the US market is like. We'll put 500 in and see what happens. That's a very small upfront investment versus something like private label, where you're going to have to do a lot bigger investment, and also the learning curve. You know, arbitrage, you put in 500 today, you start selling within a month, you know, no problems. Whereas in private label, it's probably like a 3-month turnaround before you realize that, oh, I made a mistake, damn. And obviously that's thousands of dollars cost. So I love that, and I think that's an amazing, and you know, I fundamentally believe that, and I talked to you about this, is we are going to see a rise in, you know, more and more micro businesses getting into arbitrage. And I'm not saying it's like they're doing exactly what we're doing, but what do we do? Arbitrage is just trade. That's it. And, you know, whether it be on eBay, whether it be on Amazon, whether it be on Walmart, whether it be on, like, or, you know, all the other platforms which are coming up, it's going to happen. And I think you're going to see more and more of it, and you're seeing more and more Amazon sellers introduced. So I love that. I think it's absolutely fascinating, and it's so nice to be able to go try it on a different marketplace and see what happens. And obviously compare, because you do it. You compare it UK and USA, and which one's better, which not. And you learn so much from the UK, and you deploy that in the US, and then you learn something in the US and deploy it in the UK, and you're like, wow, that's amazing. So yeah.
I think what's really fascinating about your story is you're doing the same models in the two countries, so you can compare, you can make that direct comparison. I mean, most people, not most people, certainly in our circumstance, you know, we do a different type of model in the US and the UK. And but what one of the best things I absolutely loved, but of course you're on that sort of time zone at the moment anyway, is when you come back, you'll probably experience it more, is you really get the opportunity to have that 24-hour sales cycle. Because when I go to bed, I wake up and it's like, wow, $2,000 worth of sales, you know, before I even open my eyes. It's, you know, it's brilliant. And it kind of pushes you into, you know, Tom and I were talking about a little bit of the future and investments and the way that we think, or, you know, the world might go in the future. But that getting into, when you are in this you know, e-commerce world of online selling, whether it be digital or physical products, being able to sell globally and having that 24-hour, you know, classic make money while you sleep is, you know, that's the dream, isn't it?
I know, agree. And hey, it's really funny you talk about, you know, I'm on the time zone, but what's really weird is I don't run the business. My team in the Philippines run the business, and they're 14 hours behind. So it's like, yes, I'm on the time zone, but I'm not doing it. They are. And that's a real challenge, you know, running with teams whereby, you know, right now it's 3:00 in the morning for them, and I'm like probably just waking up, for example. But I like that, you know, you talk about like the 24-hour sales. That is nice, and, you know, it still amazes me to this day. You know, you load up your phone, you're like, I'm just having lunch, I'll just quickly check. You're like, oh, a couple of thousand in sales. Oh, fantastic. You know, it's an amazing situation, and, you know, and I will say it's taken years, but I think, you know, if anything, you're going to see more and more people doing that in the future. And, you know, the opportunity is going to expand. So it's an amazing world we live in, and the future is, you know, very bright. And I sit there and I'm like, oh, do we grow the business more? And I have these conversations with my team, and they're like, oh, should we do it? Should we not just stay where we are? And I'm like, we have to believe that the future is going to be better. So if the future is going to be bigger and better, more people buying on Amazon or whatever, we should be investing today, even if it's like a struggle, because the future we can take advantage of that. And whenever I've kind of had that mindset, I've actually been like, it's been scary as hell. But when you've then, 6 months down the line, you're like, wow, this is amazing. And you're like, this isn't the work I did yesterday. This is the work I did 6 months ago. I'm now reaping the benefits of. It's the same with you and private label, I'm assuming, in the US as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, I would say to anyone I work with, whether it be clients, people I teach, or, just having a general conversation with someone, you have to do one thing a day that's going to contribute and build towards your future. It's always really important to concentrate on the now, live in the moment. But, my favorite saying is have half an eye on the future, because you always want to be constantly building, constantly striving, putting things into place that are going to pay off in 6 months' time. My light's gone out for some reason. So me and technology, that's what I need to work on for sure. Anyway, we've been chit-chatting away, and I want to say hello to everyone that's jumped on. So Emma's joined us. I watched Emma on a live earlier, really informative live, talking about planning for Q4. It was fantastic. Thanks for that, Emma. Really appreciate it. Let's have a quick look. Mike says, good to be back. Have missed a few weeks. How dare you? How dare you? That's not allowed. Not allowed. You have to watch every single week. I'm only joking. Welcome back. Pleased you're here. Stephen says, I missed my personal daily target on Black Friday by £2. So, I mean, if that was me, I would have tanked the listing for that. I would have just... I'm not a price tanker, but I would have tanked the listing, and I would have got my £2 in for sure. Paul's joined us. Alexander, Daniel says Black Friday was terrible, but I literally had a month of sales on Sunday plus Cyber Monday. Brilliant, well done.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think that's the thing. It's been a little bit of a mixed bag this year, and it really does depend, I think, on people's inventory and where they've put their eggs. I was speaking to Luke Dugan. I also noted Vlad, who does the similar type of selling model as well. Both of them were kind of saying, look, it wasn't like crazy mad. It was quite consistent because of the type of products that we sell, and I think the thing is, what people have got to kind of remember is, everyone sells their own journey. Everyone does their own thing, obviously. And some people will invest more in the seasonal products this time of year. Some people prefer that level of consistency, to stay within their business. I'd imagine, especially if you're running big teams, it's more important to have a level of consistency within the business at a higher level, I would have thought.
Yeah, if I give you some numbers, I think in the UK we have like 11 staff. Is that right? Mm-hmm. I think SKU wise, kind of, it's like 700 active SKUs, probably with about 200 coming in. So it's quite a range of products, which is why when I'm always looking at that graph, I'm like, I think we have quite a good. I really agree with you about it's really about your inventory. And your product mix. And for us, people ask me about, hey Tom, what do you do? I sell on Amazon. Oh, cool. What do you sell? Not a clue. Really don't know. And I know you couldn't handle that. You're like, not at all. But it's really about, it's about what do you choose to focus on? Some people really focus on like certain types of products. I want to do this kind of stuff. For me, it's very much about just managing by the numbers. That's it. And and as we've grown, I've tried to evolve that. So it's hard. Like it's a real challenge, and you've got to be able to step back and just look at the high level aspects of it, because if I get into the detail, I'm micromanaging, and that isn't helpful. So definitely I look at the numbers, and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to be. And, I would say definitely while you're able to grow and scale your business in the way that you can, because you trust in the people that are in your team, because without them at this stage in your business, it wouldn't function, right?
So we had a record last week. The team spent 30,000 on Friday. and on the whole week they spent £88,000.
Whoa!
It's like I could not spend that on my own, like not
No.
at all. It's not even possible. So even if I wanted to, I don't think I could actually spend that much if I work full time, or that's the only thing I do, and then my life would be that, and like that's not what I'm here to do. So you have to have trust, and it's scary. And people ask that question about how do you trust your team to spend that much money. But there are businesses out there, Jeff Bezos one, where they spend far more than that, and they do it very well. So like it's just a matter of figuring out how, and building great teams.
And you didn't go from, on a Friday spending a fiver to like spending £88,000 the following week, did you? So
No.
It's something that you've built up over a period of time. And presumably, if things do go wrong, you're in a position that you can look at them and can say, right, okay, what went here? At what level do you get involved? What level do you step in and say, right, okay, something's not, is it purely the figures? Is it a graph? What point do you look at in your business where you think, right, something's not working, I need to step in, or it's not performing at the level I expect it to, or it should be?
I think it's a really good question. I think, if I give you an example, 3 weeks ago, no, probably like a month ago, we had $10,000 worth of fraud on the US market, and we're using a debit card, which was like, it was a lot of cash. Someone was like buying something in Lithuania or something. It's not Luke, by the way.
Was it Luke?
But it's like somewhere in Eastern Europe. They did like quite a few transactions, and obviously we'd used the card in some kind of dodgy website, and that whole process to me probably took like 2 hours worth of calls with my team, and they just updated me there afterwards. But they handled the whole thing, and we got to the point now where we've got every single penny back, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
And that's on a debit card as well.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But the interesting thing is like for me, I think the real question is two things. Number one is really understand what you're doing, and I'm quite a numbers guy, and I can kind of model things in my head, like have quite a good ability to kind of think what is it we're trying to achieve? What should it look like? What do I have in my head? And what am I seeing day to day? And then what I'm seeing, and then also what we do is we track it weekly. And what I'm really looking at is the change in the business over the weeks. And then you can, your business never goes really, really good, fail, unless Amazon shuts you down.
Yeah.
But like it trends, and you're watching the trends, and you're trying to understand what's happening. And then and my job is to apply pressure in certain areas of the business, or should we say focus, to change those trends, whether it be spend, ROI, hiring new staff. Maybe it might be the case that actually I want you to drop the ROI right now, and I want you to start spending more. Why? Because I'm seeing in 3 months' time or 2 months' time, it's going to be Black Friday, it's going to be lots of opportunities, and right now our team can't spend any more than 10,000 a day. So if I just get them used to spending more, they get over that mental hurdle, the 4-minute mile. Get over the 4-minute mile in your head. Then when you come to it, they're like, guys, 2 months ago you did 20,000. Let's see if we can beat that today. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And that's, and for me, is kind of thinking strategically long term, and also the barriers and helping the team to overcome it. And also sort of taking calculated risks. If you say, you're happy to, I don't know, it might be the case that, right now we're trying to load up and stock like there is no tomorrow. So because that you're not going to have the opportunity on 15th of December to buy it all. So just go hell to leather on loading up, and then it will go down. So, but that's it. Yeah, there's a lot, and that's what I look at. I really look at strategy and change in the metrics over time.
Yeah, fantastic. Hayden says it's all about calculated risks. Absolutely. Paulina's joined us as well. Oh, by the way, hi, Hayden. So what I want to do, Tom, is, and again, we spoke about this briefly beforehand, and I thought about it earlier on today when I was thinking about what questions, what can we talk about with Tom on Never Mind the Buy Box tonight. And one thing I do want to do is jump in my DeLorean and go back a little bit in time and find out a little bit more about you and how you got started on Amazon, what you were doing before, essentially, because like we said beforehand, you're a little bit similar to me in the sense that you're the one that's used to asking the questions as opposed to being asked the questions. And I've watched loads of your videos. I've seen watch your YouTube channel all the time and everything like that. And I think it'd be just really interesting because I really don't know a lot about what you were doing before. Someone said, Sham says, I think he was a spy. Were you a spy? Were
if
you a
you're a,
spy?
you're not supposed to be like visible if you're a spy. You're supposed to be like, like no one sees you. You're just the person in the background. The gorilla in those videos where like, did you spot the gorilla? Like, you don't see them. So no, I wasn't a spy.
No, he wasn't a spy. There we go. Someone said, "Oh yeah, evening." Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, I mean, we're not going to spend ages talking about it because I've got loads that I want to ask you tonight anyway. But it'd be just cool to find out kind of what you were doing before you discovered Amazon, how you discovered Amazon, and when you had that sort of moment of
I'll give you the spiel back from the very beginning, and I'll do it very quickly. Obviously, born in Southampton, South the UK. I was I studied. I know it's great, honestly, fantastic. Many times down in Bournemouth on the beach and off the Alps. I studied electronic engineering at university and I failed. I dropped out after 3 years of a 4-year degree, and I just went, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I told my dad I was out, and like family, like, you need to finish your degree. And I said, if I have to, it's like, why? Because you fall back on it. It's like, well, if I fall back on something I hate, that's my definition of failure. Like, I refuse to make that happen. And interesting enough, that was like, it was a failure in my life. And then the idea was that I can't afford to fail again because I've already failed at my degree, and you don't want to keep having failure after failure after failure. So I went into bar management. I was doing student union bars in Southampton for 2 years, and then I went to work for Vodka Revolution, and I basically became assistant manager, deputy manager, general manager. Yeah, Vodka Rev, and I worked in like Loughborough, Cambridge, Beaconsfield. I've worked all over, and then I opened up Revolution de Cuba, so their Cuban bar, the very first one they opened. I was the general manager for that, which was fantastic, and that's like age 25. They flew me to Cuba, fantastic. So you're right, I learned budgets, I learned people management skills. That bar did £2 million in the first year, and that was age 26, I think it was. And then I was like, I want my life back. I want my life back. And I quit that job and I went to work in bowling alleys. And then in bowling alleys, I hated, it was good. It was really, really good money. But my God, you're counting pennies, like your absolute pennies. And I left that job and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't really want to do it. And then I had the option. I was like, I want to go into like property. So I applied for a job in an estate agent to sell on property because I wanted my weekends back. And then I also applied for a recruitment job. And then basically the estate agent job was paying more than the recruitment job. And I didn't want to do, and I was like, I need to learn how to sell. It's a skill that I don't know. I'm really scared of selling. Mm-hmm. So, how you communicate, how you position yourself. So then I went into recruitment and I became a sourcer, IT recruitment, because of my engineering background. And then I'm a LinkedIn certified recruiter, and I learned how to source and find all the IT professionals. And I really enjoyed that. That was great fun. So that was me learning how to source. Then I quit that job because I went from Norwich at the time. I was living in Norwich for 5 years, and I went to London with my girlfriend. And I went to work with my brother-in-law, and he opened his own procurement company, which is buying and selling.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's like drop shipping effectively, but you get a quote before. And I did 4 days with him, and he's doing it to African mining sites, and he did 1 million in turnover from his bedroom in his first year, which is incredible. He's like 6 years older than me. I was like, this is amazing. Like, you can sell something before you've even bought it, and that's like drop shipping effectively, but in B2B. I was like, it's incredible. So I opened up a procurement company. I was like, well, if you can do it in Africa, I must be able to do it in the UK. Figured out how to open up hospitals. So I opened up the UK, and I did it on myself, just created a company, procurement company. We sold into 32 NHS trusts, government departments. Then after 1 year, I realized I hated my business, absolutely hated it. The NHS are horrible to deal with because it's, hi, can you tell me where my tennis ball is? Something stupid. So then I basically I shut that business down. I was like, I don't want to build a business which I'm actually hating. And it could have gone well, but I just didn't want to do it. And then also, then I basically was doing, we'd opened up wholesalers because we're selling wholesale into the NHS. It's not like what you do in Amazon. It's like one product and it's only one purchase. It's never repeatable. So I then basically said, look, well, if I'm doing B2B, I've got these wholesalers. Can I do B2C? Looked at eBay, looked at the fulfillment model, didn't like it. Looked at Amazon, learned about FBA, was like, wow, this is amazing. At the time I was in London, and obviously I can't do fulfillment myself because in London it's just not possible. And then and then obviously I was trying to sell electrical equipment, stationery into the Amazon. Didn't work. There's no money. There's no margin. And I was about to quit. I was about to call it a day. And my friend said, what sells? And it was Christmas. And we looked at, I said, Lego sells. And he said, well, look at where, I was like, Lego sells. I'm like, where can you buy Lego? And I looked on Tesco Direct, and voila. Obviously, back we found the wonder it was Tesco Direct. And
Tesco Direct, we do miss you.
And hey, it was interesting. And like, I started that, and I really enjoyed the model. I really liked it. We started selling. And the interesting thing is that I got so kind of involved in, like, I didn't really want to source. I was like hiring VAs. I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think we probably did definitely over 6 figures in our first year. I say, I'm always talking about we, because we're a team as opposed to me. But the interesting thing is we didn't make any profits in our first year. And the reason is I spent it all. I spent it on software. I spent it on VAs. I spent it on loads of other stuff. And as a result, because I didn't know my numbers, I didn't know people were adding value, I basically got a VA once after 6 months. I asked the question, like, are you making me any money? And when I eventually kind of digged into it, I was like, you're not. You're costing me more money than what I'm doing. And I won't lie, I wasn't very good. Like, I wasn't very good. Like, I was like kind of doing business stuff, just kind of floating around, and I wasn't focused, like super, super focused. And then basically kind of started sorting it out. And I think at that time, that's when we broke up with my girlfriend, 6 years. And then my friend said, go to Thailand for a month. And I went to Thailand for 1 month. And after 3 weeks, called my sister and said, I'm not coming home ever. She was like, what the hell? And then just carried. And then interestingly enough, in Thailand, environment equals destiny, is that my business was making money, but I mean, just making money. Like, I'm making some money to live off, and in Thailand, you don't need much money. And then obviously you're in a party environment, and hey, I like to socialize. I like to be fun. And what did I do? Foreigner abroad. I just got drunk for 5 months. I literally got drunk for 5 months, 6 nights a week, 4 a.m. in the morning, drunk. And I woke up one day and I was like, my life will be a failure. Like, it really will, and I'll fail again.
Wow.
And I've had, a lot of those like failures in life. And I was like, this cannot happen. I will not let this happen. And so I left Thailand. I went to Vietnam, fell in love with a Vietnamese girl, and then just head down, work. But interesting, I've learned a lot about the model. Really, I think all of us, when we really put our head down, when we switch off from the world and really focus on something, it's actually amazing what you can achieve. And I even get now, you get Facebook stories like 2 years ago, you were in Vietnam doing this. And I'm like, wow, that was 2 years ago. And you're like, I'm now reaping the rewards of that hard work back then. Yeah. So I think, my whole story is very much a story of failures, and 2 things: failing and pushing back from them going forward. But also as well, the one thing which I learned from that whole journey is that I'm very aware of what I don't like doing, and I will stop it very quickly. Mm-hmm. And why do I say that? Is because even in my business right now, whereby, call it purchasing. Yeah, I can purchase, I can source, but I just don't like it. And I know if I do it, I'm gonna fail. I'll do it for a day, be really good, and then fail. I won't. My team are better. But the idea is I need to overcome those weaknesses, and I need to manage around my weaknesses. And I think I'm brutally honest about where my strengths are and also my weaknesses. And I think I've been very good about managing around them. And that's why I've been able to build a team and be able to enjoy the life now where I travel the world and run businesses. So it's good fun. And obviously learn to salsa dance and fail miserably at that, which I'm hating at the moment.
I absolutely am loving the updates on the salsa dancing. And the funny thing was, I saw your story last night, and you asked the question, can you dance? And I was going to answer, and I was going to put, no, I don't want to say yes, because I feel like I can dance, but I'm one of those people that I feel like I can dance at like 3 o'clock in the morning after 2 bottles of wine. That's when I feel I can dance, as opposed to not being a dancer, definitely. So I was like, but salsa is my favorite form of dance to watch on like Strictly Come Dance. It's my favorite dance. It's amazing. And it must be phenomenal to be in Latin America and watching all those types of, especially the salsa dancing and, the tangos and everything that they do down there. I would just be in awe of watching things like that.
It's interesting because one of my underlying principles that I've learned throughout the journey of like failing, should we say, is like, I have a coach, I do like coaching with Tony Robbins, and all the time he's like, Tom, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What's the result? And I'm always, and there's two things he kind of talks about. It's like, in life, we're running towards stuff, i.e. like, I want a bigger business, which is fine, but also as well, run away from things. Like, I don't want this, for example. And the one thing which I really kind of understand in my life and what I've learned is that at the end of the day, fundamentally, without, whether it be money or anything, is I just want to have fun. I just want to smile. And when you, and you said it like, every day I'm in like a Latin American country, when I listen to like salsa music, the sun's shining, people are dancing, and like salsa is a very emotional dance. It's got a lot of emotion in it. And I literally just be like, I'm so blessed. Like, and you just smile and you just feel it. And it's like, at the end, that's what I want. I just want to be happy. Whether you're doing 1 million, 10 million, it doesn't really matter. It's about, do you wake up every morning for like, I can smile, and everything I do towards that, as opposed to, I need to be bigger and better. It's like, I just want to have fun. Like, I want my team to have fun. I want to be around people who are having fun, and that's really nice. So, that's my thing, and that's why I kind of love being in Latin America, because also it's like, it's got so much energy and so much emotion. So I feel very blessed, and also lucky to have a business that you can do that with.
Absolutely. Stephen's comment did make me laugh. It says, "Oh, you're going to love being back in the UK, Tom." Well, we'll definitely talk about that at the moment. But Peter says it's an incredible story. It really, really is. I feel like I was on like This Is Your Life with Tom in like a 5-minute, kind of segment. And I didn't know that about you. When you said about running the bars, actually, I do remember I had heard you say that before. So I had heard you definitely mention that before. But what I find really interesting is you talk about this kind of period of life where it was failure after failure after failure. But in terms, I possibly do look at that a bit differently, because you go through, this period, and we've all been all through it. I've got a similar story myself in terms of, experiencing so many different, roles, jobs, whatever, during that period of time, different businesses, and knowing what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. But I think during that period of time, and, bars, hospitality, bowling. Someone said counting pennies. I take it that was like in like the penny machines, that type of thing, or
I think at one point we had about £1,000 of pennies I had to count, and we had to count it every morning, hand over, and it didn't have unclose as well. And I sat there and I was like, don't get me wrong, I was earning good money. I was earning like £40,000 a year at age 27 in Norwich, plus bonuses, and bonuses are really good because profit related. But interesting enough, like, I was like, is this my life? Is this my life? Do I come to work every single day and just count pennies? Like, what life is this? This is like a failure. Like, so I didn't like it. Like, I really didn't.
I think what's interesting, like I said, I really don't see it as a failure, because during that period, even with the degree in engineering, all the practical skills that you must have picked up during that time must have absolutely contributed to your success now. Working in, doing the engineering, logical practicality, all of those type of skills that you can collect during that period of time. Hospitality, customer relations, managing a team, all of those different skills that you can get from that. Recruitment, sales, procurement, working with people, it's just a series of, building skills, essentially, which, I think is absolutely the reason why you are such this amazing success story. Because like I said, you have learned that you've taken that on. And what I find really interesting, because I really resonate with what you've said, is I have to try something in order to know whether or not I like it and want to do it. I try lots of different things all the time, and I might just try something once, but I have to know whether or not I like it, or whether or not I want to proceed with something. And it's interesting to hear you say that, because my husband's like that as well. And the other thing that you said as well, he's very good at saying no, that he doesn't want to do it. I need to work on that. I need to work on, not liking something and potentially saying no a little bit more. But my Matt, he's very good at that. He knows what he doesn't want to do. It's as simple as that. And he's been through that process. And that's definitely, it's a huge attribute to have. to be able to say, do you know what? No, I'm not going to do that because I don't enjoy it.
Agreed.
And that's why we're all here.
And interesting enough, I talk to people about it. I'm like, rarely do you find people have problems because they don't have enough options. It's because they have too many things they're doing. And actually, and I talk about it to my team all the time. I'm like, simplify, simplify, simplify. Like, if you just clearly define what you're trying to do and get rid of everything else, your life becomes so much easier. And don't get me wrong. Like, I've gone through that journey, and I still say, like, while it is failures, yes, failures in a certain extent, is that those failures have forced me to work 15 hours a day for like 5 years straight in hospitality, which has been like, hard work. And I've had to push myself in so many different ways. I still remember today, Revolution de Cuba Norwich, it didn't exist. We had to create it. And I had to write the entire budget, working out how many staff members are we going to have on at 9 o'clock? How much revenue does each staff member make? And then what do we do? And how do we do that? And then, I have to forecast every revenue per week for the entire year. And it was so challenging. Admittedly, the engineering background helped and the mathematical background.
Yeah.
But the idea is that life is just a series of obstacles. It doesn't get any easier. You just get better at doing it. And I think, and again, it's all like our own interpretation of the world. For me, it's just like, I have to be better than this. Yeah. And, even when we talk about, like, say, in bowling alleys in Norwich doing good money, my question was, this is my life right now. I'm still working evenings and weekends. I cannot do this at 35 when I've got kids. Admittedly, I'm 35 now and I don't have kids, but that was the idea. So I was like, if I'm doing this at 35, that's a failure. So I have to make a decision today so that when I get there, I haven't failed. So it's kind of foresight and preempting and just challenging yourself. And I think, the interesting thing you'll say is, like, you're amazed at what you can achieve when you actually apply yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't get me wrong, we all have those days where we're like, I've done 12 hours of work today and I've done so much and I'm so happy. And you're like, if you really pushed yourself, you could have done even more. And it's really amazing. And I think if we can just understand that, you can go back to the 4-minute mile, you can do so much that you don't realize. And that if you can just, consistently apply yourself over the long period of time, they talk about it. We overestimate what we can do in one day and we underestimate what we can do in 1 year. If you can keep consistency, what you can achieve is incredible, like absolutely incredible. And I think, our ability to get rid of distractions, get rid of all the thing and focus on a very clear, defined goal is probably one of the reasons why, I'm not saying I'm successful, but while I've managed to achieve a life which I'm very happy with, yeah. and also in a direction that I'm happy with.
I think that's really interesting. And one of the questions I was going to ask you tonight is about your love of traveling, wanting to see the world, experiencing as much as you can. And I think we'd had this conversation previously about, potentially before having a family or whatever route you're going to go down in that respect. And one of the questions I was going to ask you is, did you start the Amazon business? But I think you've already answered this. Did you start the Amazon business to travel the world? But it sounds like it was a little bit of a, not a coincidence. It was like a happy mistake, or is that
so
right?
So I had a girlfriend my girlfriend from Norwich. We were together for 6 years in total, but she went to study educational psychology. So she had to go to London to study, because there's only like 8 places in the UK you can do it. So she had to go to London, and then we were away apart for a year, which is like super hard. Mm-hmm. And then she was supposed to come back for year 2, but she didn't. She wanted to stay in London. And hence I was like, I don't really want to stay in Norwich on my own. Can I come to London with you? So then I came to London, and that's why I quit my recruitment job and came to London, because I was like, I don't want to stay here on my own. And then because of the work that she was going to do, she was never going to keep the job in London. She was always going to leave. So what happened was then I started the business in London. So I started the business in London with the view that I'd always leave London. So I knew that I couldn't build a team in London. So it had to be online, it had to be remote, should we say. And then also when we broke up, I was like, well, I've got this online business. I'm living in one of the world's most expensive cities. This is called stupidity. Let's go do it somewhere else, and hence Thailand. And I think that was the reason why it was all online. I know you asked something else as well, and I've forgotten that. What was that?
Oh no, so I was engrossed. I was listening to you. I can't remember what I asked. Whether or not it was intentional when you started the Amazon business to live a digital nomad life.
No, it wasn't. It was very like, my God.
It.
Do you know what's really interesting is when I joined Revolution to start off with, they did a personality assessment on me, and I was 23 at the time, and they said, Tom, your personality is one who likes stability. You like to stay settled. You are not liking change. It was really interesting. And then I went through a whole journey, and I was like, I'm quite happy, I don't want to move. But I left Southampton to move to Beaconsfield. I left all my friends, all my family to go do this job. Why? Because I had to do it. I was like, Revolution is the best bar company in the country. They're going to teach me what I need to know. I have to I have to move. I have to do, have to go where the opportunity is. And interesting enough, I then went from Beaconsfield to Loughborough after 6 months, Loughborough in 6 months, Cambridge for 3 months, and then I went to Norwich for 2 years. And that kind of started that whole transition of moving. And I think the one thing which I really learned from that journey of moving is how many, we talk about how many times have you kind of gone through life and then you stop for a second and be like, wow, we've been in this house for like 2 years, or wow, this has happened, and time's flying or time's flown, and you just kind of get stuck in a rhythm, you get stuck in a routine, and we just go through the processes. And what I've learned, especially around traveling, is that routine is super dangerous. It's just a rhythm, it's what you do, and it's okay. But if you want to go higher, if you're not saying if you want to go higher, if you want to push yourself, breaking patterns, breaking rhythms, and changing. And when I talk about my business, when we talk about when you've got like 5 VAs, how you have to, the leader of 5 VAs is very different to the leader of 60 VAs now. It's a very different conversation. And I've had to break my patterns constantly. And what I found is that by moving, every time I move, I get to go, okay, I reform all the old patterns. And as a result, it's actually accelerated my learning and personal development. And what I've also noticed, and Cancun was a good example, I was there for about 6 months and I was like, I'm bored, I'm doing everything the same now. It's the same stuff, I need to change. And
wow, okay, so that's the driving force to it.
Yeah, one of my goals even this year was I think it was every 2 months I need to change something. So either city, co-working space, house, doesn't matter. I need to break all the patterns, because it's by breaking the patterns, I change my mindset. My mindset is then the future.
Girlfriend? Change your girlfriend every 2 months?
No, it's really hard. It's really hard to get a girlfriend. Because it's not fair. You're going to travel when you're going to do that. So that's not fair. So, but I had one for 2 years in Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, do you know what? When it's right, it's right. And it's funny you should say that, actually, because one of the things I've spoken about previously is, and people, this might sound like the worst thing to say, but you know what? Being happy is a bit of a bitch, because what I mean by that is you're absolutely right. When you get into a period of comfort, when you get into a period of, being happy with your lot in life, you get this period of being stagnant. And in order to have big changes, I mean, once you have kids and things like that, nothing's stagnant about that. There's always some issue round the corner, in a good way, kids, if you're watching. But I know exactly what you mean. Is being happy can be a little bit dangerous, and that might sound really irresponsible for me to say that, and I hope people don't mean it. People know I don't mean it in the saying, from a mental health point of view or anything like that whatsoever. But, I've been married for a very long time. We live in a nice house. We drive nice cars. We go on nice holidays. We enjoy what we do, our business and things like that. And sometimes what can happen is you can slip into a period of, flatlining. Yeah, of comfort. Absolutely. And you do constantly have to try and push yourself. I suppose one of the benefits with being in a married business partnership, the only benefit, I would say.
I'm sure there are many.
No, one of the only benefits is you have two different people working together with two different personalities, with two different sets of goals, but you do have the same overall goal at the end of the day. And if one of you's down, you can pick the other one up, because it comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of you both striving, to the same place. You know, me and Matt have very different outlooks on business, and we run businesses very different and things like that. But overall, we have the same goal, which is, you know, to provide for our children, to provide a nice life, and, you know, all of those different aspects. But I know exactly what you mean. So that's given me a little bit of a kick up the bum, you know, because you do have to make changes. Pesky kids, he's put that.
And hey, I 100% agree with you. When I was in Vietnam, you know, it was a very different relationship, but also as well, I do understand that I got reasonably comfortable. And actually, it was coming out of that relationship where I could become uncomfortable again that I really started to grow. And, you know, I'm not saying relationships are bad at all. Like, they're amazing things. And for me, it's about when I feel that comfort, I have to change, because I know that for me, happiness is about growth. I have to be achieving new things, and, you know, maybe that's the hunger in me. And I think it's a question of, like, tomorrow has to be better than today, and I'm the one who's going to make that happen. And so, you know, maybe I'd probably say I'm a bit harsh on myself sometimes, but that's about me pushing myself. And the reason is because I think I'm better. I can be better than I am now, and I firmly believe that. And so the only person who's going to make me better tomorrow is me, and I have to do it. So growth is part of my happiness.
No, I love that. I love that. Great advice for anyone that's listening, for sure. Who said that? Stephen says, leaving the wife and kids. Tom and Matt said, I need to, a new motorbike, and that will sort it. There we go. You heard it here first, for sure. Hayden said, 100%. I only started getting serious business results in business once I fully focused on one thing and got rid of the rest. Absolutely. I think, you know, that's something we talk about a lot. You know, Matt Webley talks about that, you know, that laser focus, concentrating, dialing down, getting involved in that task, and really seeing the results. And, you know, you got to put the work in. You got to put the grind in. It might be 6 months, could be 12 months before you see that first kind of green shoe. And I think that so many people do fail to understand that, because in the world that we live in now, with you know, the gurus, us gurus, you know, always talking about things and what's achievable and what's this and what's that, you know, it's very easy to fall into that trap of, oh, well, I started my business yesterday and I haven't ordered my Lambo on the Thursday. So, you know, what's gone wrong? You know, sometimes well, not sometimes, all the time, it is reinforcing that you have to put the work in. It's as simple as that. And I made a little bit of a joke, I think yesterday when I created the event for tonight, saying about, you know, you literally, you know, Tom runs his business sitting on a beach kind of thing. But that's not the case. I've seen posts of your schedules and things like that. You work hard, and you're working hard continuously every day, even though you're living in paradise. So what's the split? Do you keep kind of traditional hours, which I know is probably a bit hard working on different time zones? You have weekends off. Where's that kind of limit? Where do you say, right, do you know what, I'm going to take a week to myself? Do you ever switch off? Essentially, that's what I'm asking.
I can. Like, my team are amazing. They're really good. And I think, you know, at a very fundamental level, I have to do a minimum of 1 hour a week to run all 3 businesses. And what is that? That's just moving money around. And they can do everything else for me. And I would fully trust them. I have no issue with that. And the way I've kind of structured it is very much about the business can run without me. What's my job in the business? My job is to push the business forward in new development, you know, challenging new things. But operationally, it should be able to run without me, because, you know, I will work every minute and every hour under the sun, but then sometimes I want to have a break. And when I want to have a break, I want to have a proper break. I don't want to, I hate being needed, if that makes sense. So the more that I'm needed in the business, I realize I'm a liability. So that's a problem. So you talk about like hours, you know, I work Sunday nights because it's Philippines are 14 hours ahead. So like, right, you know, like 8 o'clock Sunday night I start, that'd be 6 o'clock Sunday night I start, that'd be 8 a.m. And I'll have a couple of meetings, ops meetings, and that's fine. But I think, you know, I will work. I think the real question is what do you want in life? Where do you want to be? You know, picture that goal in 1 year's time, and then do what you need to do to get there. So for me in my life, and what I'm thinking about is like, where do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? What's my measure of personal success? Not just financial, but what also the value you bring back? And what do I need to do that? And then what else do I want to do? So if I kind of break it down, like, grow the Amazon business, grow Fast Track FBA, and also as well, I want to travel the world, I want to see places, and also as well, I'm rubbish at it, but I'd love to salsa dance, and hence why I'm doing like private lessons, everything, and like, and by the way, private lessons out here are like super cheap, so it's so amazing. So I'm so happy. But the idea is like, they're my 4 priorities in life. That's it. And so when you kind of, and I do like Elon Musk time boxing, so whenever I look at my calendar, I'm like, that has to be the priority. So sometimes, it's always like ebbing and flowing. Sometimes I have to work a lot. Sometimes there's a great opportunity to travel, and like we went to Acapulco like 3 weeks ago to a private villa, which was lovely. So then basically I just called my team up and said, hey, I'm having the week off, don't worry about it. And they were like, cool, no problem, enjoy. So you kind of give with one hand, you take with the other, you picture where do you want your life to be, you make very conscious decisions about what that is, you have focus on it, and what I look at is, what's my life, what do I want it to be, and also as well, I'm really reflective on where are the frictions in my life, what don't I like. And I've had it in the past whereby probably a year ago I was like, I've got this amazing team, but we haven't got any senior managers. So then I started hiring ops managers, and now I only have 2 managers who report to me, and that's it. So hence why the business can now run without me. So again, really think about what do you want, picture that life, define it, plan, and then work towards it. And that's how I do it. So yes, I will happily work 15-hour days. And I think we've talked about this before. For the last 3 days in a row, I've had less than 6 hours sleep every night, sometimes less than 5. And I was literally asleep about an hour and a half ago, just catching up on some sleep. But you do what you do to get the result that you want, and the rest of it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter. And if you want to live an exceptional life, you have to do exceptional work. You cannot live an exceptional life working 9 to 5. It doesn't work. And I think you've got to, you talk about it. Why haven't I bought the Lambo? Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins' mentor, was like, you reap what you sow. If you're not reaping what you want now, you haven't sowed enough. And it's like, I talked to you about it before. My quality of life now is because of what I've done 6 months to 1 year ago, and that is about sowing all the time.
Fantastic. Great advice there. Johnny Smith's joined us. We love Johnny on Never Mind the Buy Box. He says, I think I have the travel bug again after listening to this. I think it inspires a lot of people. And especially, again, I saw Matt Webley talking about it the other day, the prospect of like new COVID variant coming in. And I think even he's, thinking about kind of escaping and getting out of the UK because of, what's going on at the moment. But what a privilege doing this type of business. It gives people the opportunity to be able to do that. And I think sometimes we forget that because, Amazon can be a pain in the bum. We all know it, it's not a secret or anything like that. But I feel very privileged from a different point of view. Obviously, I'm not traveling the world, but I do get to go on nice holidays when we're allowed. But it does give people so many opportunities to create and live the life that that they want to have or they deserve to have. Absolutely. And, when it comes to thinking about the future plans, whatever you want to do, you talk about doing things, laying those foundations now for the future. How often do you think about the future? How often do you plan for the future? When you set are you a January the 1st, I'm going to write my goals, or are you constantly kind of revisiting them throughout the year, depending on, what happens?
Amazing question. It's you can't score if you don't have a goal, and the thing which I've kind of, the thing which I've kind of learned is, if you don't have a target you're aiming for, you just waste so much time. And I do this with my team all the time. That they're like, right, let's do this, and I'm like, stop. What do you want? Like, and they're like, oh, we want to do this. I'm like, come on, more clarity, more clarity, more clarity. And they're like, we just, we've got so much energy, we want to do it. And it's like, super define it. My God, I hate talking. Tony Robbins' coaching has been really fundamental for me, like really changed, and it really helped me. He talks about it. Specificity is power. So the clearer you are on your goals, Hayden Davidson talked about it a minute ago. The moment I start getting rid of everything else and just focused on the one thing, it makes such a difference. If you can really define what that one thing is, half the actions you're originally going to take will be pointless. So now you've just saved yourself half the amount of work. So why do I say that is, you asked me a question about, do I write my goals? Yes, I do have goals right now, because it's something that I want to aim towards. They're not the most like big house Ferrari thing. Like one of them is like go to the gym, exercise 4 times a week, of which salsa counts as exercise. For me, that's a passion that I want to do. Grow our business. It is about defining your goals, and then also just being very crystal clear about this is what I want. But also as well, when you define these goals, it's about why. Why does that even matter? And I'm sure you've had it millions of times. Like, my God, my goal last year was like, get your body fat down, get rid of the belly that I've been carrying around with me for like 15 years of drinking alcohol. And I sat there with my coach, and I was like, I'm just not doing it. And it's like, I want it, but I'm not willing to put the effort in to make it happen. And the reason is that, yeah, I'd like it, but I just don't really care. Like, I'd rather go eat like some nice tacos or something in Mexico. So the idea is not only have a goal, but also understand why it matters, because half the time it's about your energy and how much you can focus on it. And also, it's like, hey, I want to build my Amazon business, but my friend's asking me to go out tonight. I'll go out. We're like, well, your motivation behind your Amazon business isn't strong enough. And it's not to say that you don't want to do it. Of course you do, but maybe it's about finding another reason why you want to do it. So that might be like, hey, I want to go travel, and you put the picture of the traveling up and be like, for me, the amount of times, even just this weekend, I filmed like 15 videos this weekend on a Saturday. I was in at 9 a.m. in the office right through till 6 p.m. just filming videos. And I was like, I'm supposed to be like this entrepreneur running it. And it's like, no, you do what you need to do to get it done. And sometimes you sacrifice because of the greater goal of what you want to achieve. So, long story short, and I'll kind of, summarize is, and I tell this to people, when I first started coaching, and coaching has changed me massively and has made me become a lot more concise, a lot more reflective, and a lot more focused, is that I wrote some goals in November a year ago, not last year, the year before. And I asked my coach, I was like, what do you think to them? Do you think I've written them well? And he's like, what do you think? And I said, look, they're scary. They're super scary. I can do them. They're going to be damn hard, but they're super scary. And it was the £1 million goal. That was part of it as well. And, I was like, okay, cool. So he's like, go away. Fantastic. Make it happen. We came back in May, and I said to him, we need to revisit the goals. I've achieved half of them already. And I was like, 5 months ago, I thought they were impossible, and now I'm already breaking them. This is incredible, like absolutely incredible. And I think if you really focus on clarity of mind, don't get me wrong, I worked hard, but I didn't work like Elon Musk hard. And then I think that's, it's like you can achieve so much. So yes, I have goals. Yes, I work hard, but I'm also very mindful of like why I have those goals. Why do I want them?
Yeah, no, I get that. So a bit of a chicken and an egg situation. I love asking people this is, do you think you would have achieved what you achieved by May if you hadn't have written them down and been specific about them?
Hell no, not at all. Not at all. Not in a million years.
Mm-hmm. And it is a chicken and an egg situation, isn't it? Because, you don't write it down, you don't achieve it. It blows my mind that, to be perfectly honest.
The £1 million goal we put out there, I was in Vietnam. I was like, I want to do $1 million over the next 18 months. That scared the hell out of me. I was like, am I just going to be the laughing stock of YouTube? Like, oh, well done, Tom, you tried, but you failed. And obviously we smashed it. We did it in 12 months rather than 18, which I was like so impressed with. But and do you know what the funny thing is like, looking back on that journey, we wrote it down, we did it, but looking back on it, it wasn't even that hard. We just focused, and it wasn't even like I have to work 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. No, not at all. My God, I still traveled the world. I still have fun. I still failed at salsa dancing.
Stop it with the failing, Tom.
you have to write it down, and I think that's it. Just have clarity, because there's so many distractions in life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you said that because we bang on about that a lot in here. So to have it, clarified by yourself is really good to hear. I'm going to go back to the comments, and Tom, I'm not going to keep you forever because I know that you said obviously that you. I'm very mindful of your time because you are heading back to the UK tomorrow. I think Mike asked actually whereabouts are you based. I mean, apart from being in a phone box, which looks like you are. You're in Mexico.
I'm in Mexico, yeah. We work in Mexico.
But coming home for the holidays tomorrow.
Coming home for 1 month. And I fly back out on the 2nd, I think, of January.
And coming back to Mexico, because again, I asked you this, and you're going to stay in Mexico for a while, or?
Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like, so I've traveled the world. I've been to a lot of places. Just kind of off-piste. Environment equals destiny. Mexico City, before I came here, I generally thought there were going to be like cartels everywhere.
Oh my God. I feared for your life when I saw you going to Mexico City.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Didn't it used to be the kidnap capital of the world, Mexico City?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. But just go onto Google right now and type in Roma, Roma, and then Norte, Norte. That's where I live. And it is like beautiful, greenery, trees. There's so much going on. There's such a community. I can run like 5 kilometers and it's super safe. There's no worries. It's all green, like kind of parks, everything. But also as well, I think of it as kind of like, it's more European than Europe. That's what people say. And the weather is always just in the 20s. Always in the 20s, all year round. Absolutely gorgeous. And also there's a really big community. To give you an idea of like the business networks, that's one thing in Cancun I missed out on. There are 17 WeWork offices in Mexico City.
Wow.
So it shows there's a lot of entrepreneurism going on here. And, I can get a 35-minute Uber to the airport for like $4. Which is absolutely incredible. So life is super cheap. It's amazing. You have like Uber Eats, everything you want, and you can get a flight to a beach either side, Pacific coast or off the Atlantic side. 2 hours, 30 quid. You go to Cancun. So nice, and obviously you fly to the States as well. So hence why I really like it. And
I've got a suggestion for you, Tom, which I actually think would be better for you. I think your family should come and see you for the holidays, opposed to you coming back here, because you're going to have a shock.
It's going to be cold.
It's going to be. Do you know what? About a day ago, it was Baltic here. It was absolutely freezing. Temperature plummeted, but it's gone back up again. But of course, we're pretty fortunate. I always do my smug nat about living on the beautiful south coast, so it's not a horrible part of the UK that you're coming back to, and you get to see your family, which is all the good stuff. Wazim says 2 of my favorite people on Alive. Well, that's very nice of you to say, Wazim. Thank you, and good to see you as well. A couple more questions. Peter says this is gold. Mike said excellent. Stephen said I thought the same when we were talking about the cartel, because I think literally around the time that you did it, I was watching the Denzel Washington film Man on Fire, which is based in Mexico City, and I was thinking, oh my God, Tom's going to get like chopped up and like ransomed, and one of his VAs is going to have to pull disbursement to get you ransomed out. But
it's an don't get me wrong, it's an interesting place. There are 100,000 police here in Mexico City. There's 22 million people. In Mexico City, the highest ratio of police to population anywhere in the world. It is the 5th biggest country, but also as well, you do see that kind of like the other side of it.
Yeah.
Like I've got a friend. She specializes in kidnapping insurance, which is just like freaky as hell. Oh my God.
Good friend to have.
Yeah, and we have people who are like, "Oh, we're thinking about going to Acapulco," and they're like, "Oh, should we drive?" And they're like, "Don't go on the road." They'll stop the road. So like, it's a beautiful country. There's a lot of opportunity. Latin culture is absolutely amazing, but also as well, you do need to be aware. You don't like. I wear like no watches, no anything, and I just I want a simple life. But if you're going to go around, and you see a lot of like bodyguards and lots of SUVs driving around everywhere. There are people who are rich, but you've got to be mindful because there's a lot of wealth disparity, and also there is crime. It does exist.
I would get kidnapped in like 2 minutes, but I don't think Matt would pay to have me back. So, you know, it would be, I think I would cause more hassle to the kidnappers for sure.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, they'd kick me out. They would, 100%. Hayden says, interesting. Tom, do you not also want to experience the feeling of contentment and comfort that comes with some routines or relationship commitments? This is a long question, by the way. I feel I'm still going after all I want without limits, but I also enjoy the idea of contentment and personal life routine with the right person. It's hard to be in a relationship as an entrepreneur sometimes.
Agreed. Hey, really great question. It is about it's about what you want. Like, I understand that I'll probably want that in the future.
Yeah.
You've got to ask, what's your life? What do you envision your life is like? When I have a family, here's what I want it to be. Here's what I want to be able to, you know, as a man, what I want to be able to provide. And I know I have to do the hard work today to make that happen. So, you know, I do have relationships. I do have routines in my business. You know, ironically, I have a lot of relationships with my team. You know, we speak all the time. We get to know on the personal level. I want to go to the Philippines. Also, as well, a lot of people in Mexico City, I have, you know, I build relationships with as well. But I think the real question is pick your battles. So what I understand is the future, what that looks like. You know, let's call it like marriage, children, not traveling, maybe some nice holidays, but not traveling. Is that I have to do, you know, sequencing is very important. You know, you don't go out there and spend all your money. You maybe you go like, you know, in your Amazon business, you've got to do your research first, learn about Keeper, learn how to use your tools, and then you check some products, you buy a small amount, and then you sell it on Amazon, learn the model, and see if it works. You don't go and get a £100,000 loan for a house and dump it all on Lego 154. You know, sequencing in your life is very important, and picking your battles and just being very mindful of what the future lies and what the stepping stones to get there are super important. So, you know, I do have the feeling of contentment and comfort. My God, you know, my life, I really enjoy it, but also as well, at times I have moments where it's really lonely, like it really is. And a lot of people have struggled that with who I've traveled with before, but I accept that loneliness because of the other side, but I know that loneliness isn't there forever. You know, right, when you go to a new city, you're on your own, like, I don't know anyone. Like, that's hard. You've got to start all over again. Pick your battles, understand the sequence, and you endure this pain or this struggle because you know I'm going somewhere. And you know, and I said it to you again before we started, do today what others won't, so that tomorrow you do what they can't. And quite simply, you know, that is going through that sequence, that struggle, so that when you're 40, 45, 50, you can live that life, which is your ideal dream, and be like, I've earned this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about pain, you talk about struggle, and, you know, if it was easy, everyone would do it. It's as simple as that. There has to be a level. And yeah, we do talk about in business and, you know, anyone, you can achieve anything that you put your mind to it, but it's not easy. And, you know, only the tough will survive, you know, and get to live that dream. And there comes some hardship with that as well. Essentially, you do miss out on certain things at periods in your life. You know, my husband, he owned a restaurant for, you know, 7 odd years or whatever, missed a huge chunk of his life, you know, by running that restaurant in order to obtain, and that was the first level of the building block to where we are today. Like yourself, it's where he learned some fundamental skills to running a business, you know, skills that I don't have. Sound like Liam Neeson there, you know, but it really is, you have to put the hard work in, you have to make some sacrifices. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do it 23 hours of the day. It's, you know, it's all time. You can block it into different areas, like you say, but as long as you've got that overall feeling, because it's a delusion, I think, to assume that people doing this type of thing, even running your own business, you cannot be happy 100% of the time. It's just impossible. The way that I look at my life is, as long as I'm more happy than not happy, I see that as success. That's
and also understand Facebook and Instagram are highlight reels.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've seen it too many times whereby, you know, wow, you look amazing, and then you go meet them and be like, your life is horrible. Like, it's just like, oh no. And I think, my whole kind of process, I talk about happiness, is like, be true to yourself. Like, you've got to do this for yourself, because if and we see it burnt out, I'm doing it because I want to get the likes, and understand your motivation, understand what you want. And whether it be building your business, is like, you can't be building this business to be showing your sales rank graph on like a on thing. That isn't that is when I first started Tony Robbins, the reason why I started Tony Robbins is coaching was because, and I said it to my coach, the person I spoke to, I said, by most measures of success, I am successful, i.e. I have 2 online businesses, I'm traveling the world and doing it, but I said, but I'm not happy. And it was because of that, it was like, I need to start realigning everything I'm doing to make me happy. And that's the thing. I've seen too many people where they are successful, and I've seen them traveling the world, but they are the saddest people in the world. They're just like, and it's a really horrible place. Like, it really is, and I feel for them.
No, absolutely. And people judge success differently. There's no doubt about it. And like you say, you can have all the entrappings of success, nice house, nice car, holidays, this, that, whatever. One of my favorite things, actually, that I really get a lot of pride out of, and I don't think I would have this. And, I'm not very good at blowing my own trumpet, but this is one thing that I'm very proud of, that, I enjoy, I reap the benefits, I take the compliments is when people meet my children and they say, you have lovely children. They're polite. They talk to, my children have no issues in talking to adults. They're very confident. They're not hanging off the rafters. They're not banging their plates or anything like that whatsoever. And I don't want to say, oh, we've brought our kids up right, but it's because our kids come first. And as a result of the building blocks that we put into place, years ago, in the businesses that we build and the businesses that we do, that our children come first. I can't emphasize that enough. And that's where I get my biggest pride from, is my children at the end of the day. And, that's what I mean for different people at different stages, at different levels in their lives. And for me, I'm very, very proud of that. But that wouldn't have come if I was working down Tesco's, and I haven't said Tesco's, and I was working for the man essentially and running around all over the place. I have the freedom to be able to attend every school play, every sports day, everything like that, or whatever. And that comes out in a reflection in my children. That's what I'm trying to say.
But it's interesting, because there are, there's the thing, like, don't measure me by what I say, measure me by my results. And they are your children are an investment that you've had. And also as well, that how they've become today is because of all the sacrifices you've made over the time. You've sacrificed for your business to make that achieve, because that if I can make my business work, then I have the time with my children, and that's what I want. And again, it's about your priorities, and they are a priority for you. And now you're reaping the rewards of that. You have wonderful children, and hey, well done to you. Like, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But there's so much sacrifice before that people don't see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're pretty good. We like them. They can stay for sure. But it is. And they're my biggest achievement. 100%. Nothing else whatsoever. It all comes down to the kids for sure. Hayden said, good for you, Nat. You should be proud. Yeah, like I said, they're pretty cool. Hayden says, I've seen a couple of Facebook. I've seen a couple of Facebook. I used to go to school that look so happy, saw them in real life, and they're miserable and on their phones all the time. As you say, it's reels. Mike says, sorry, you've probably already said this, but what model did you start your Amazon business with, and what models do you use now? Obviously, happy to watch the recording if you covered this. I think it was just a quick recap.
I don't think we've even talked about the business side of it. It's all just kind of like mindset.
Yeah, mindset, which is cool. But I think it's I think it's fabulous, because obviously there's been so many insights into, that's the beauty of doing these type of interviews, these type of streams. It's a little bit, Forrest Gump style. You never know what you're going to get, kind of thing. And you have to go with the flow and interaction with people, and what people want to hear. But yeah, I mean, arbitrage.
So if I give you a really quick summary of the businesses, so I run 3 companies. If I was make it simple, UK longest one about 4 years ish, maybe a bit longer now. UK only selling UK online arbitrage, buy from retail, sell. We're about 1.95 million for this year, which is like
So nearly two.
Nearly 2. So one more month we'll hit 2. So
is that the calendar year or the rolling year?
Year to date.
Yes.
Which is like,
yeah,
so I'll show you a
it.
graph. There you go. There's my graph. So you can see it's going up, up. So that's going up. So I'm really happy with that one. And we have a team of 11. I think 11. Don't correct me on that. I have a team of 11 running that, all in the Philippines. We started in the USA. I don't have the graph. I do have the graph, but not the app on here. And I'll show you that one. That we've been doing for 5 months. I have a team of 5 running that. They are really, really good. Super happy with them. And there you go. That's the kind of like revenue. That's a screenshot from my ops manager. So you can see that line. It's gone way up.
Yeah,
again,
that's amazing.
Revenue vanity, profit is sanity, and that's the one thing you should always be focused on. Don't just focus on revenue. So we run those 2, and then have an ops manager who runs them all as well. And then I run Fast Track FBA, which does like services and YouTube and stuff. And we have like 30 VAs in that one as well. So like 60 across all 3 companies. And hopefully next year, maybe looking at opening up Germany as well. So copy and paste the model again. Yeah,
Germany is. I was going to ask you that actually, because I was interested. But just before we do, because you mentioned Fast Track FBA, if you want to give the YouTube channel a shout out, which is for anyone that's not subscribed or doesn't watch Tom's video, please do. It's an excellent channel. Lots of amazing information, real life, up to date information about you, your business, and mindset, and Amazon, and traveling the world, and everything from that respect. So please let everyone know what they can find you on that.
So yeah, that's a Fast Track FBA. So Fast Track FBA, and quite simply, all we do is talk about like what's going on in Amazon, same with you, and also as well like what's going on in my business. Like every month, what my plans are, what happened last month, what are we learning, what are we seeing, the problems we're encountering in like $10,000 fraud, scaling problems.
Well, I didn't see that one. That's probably the one I didn't see.
It's coming out. It's coming out. Everything's
a bit delayed. Okay, good. I was going to say, I'm sure I didn't see that one because I would have been straight on the comments.
But yeah, there's a lot going on. So yeah, we just document the journey. That's it. And it's nice to share and talk about it, and also do like lives like you do. So check it out if you're interested, and obviously see if I can add any value to your business.
Yeah, brilliant. A few more questions, and then, like I said, I'm very mindful of your time, Tom, because I would like you to get some sleep before. But mind you, actually, you can sleep on the plane.
I'm going to go for lunch.
Okay.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm just trying to work that out. I'm just trying to work the time zones out. Definitely. Mike says, so good. Thanks, Tom. This is an interesting one, actually. It came out of left field. Callum said, have you ever made an RA purchase?
Yes. And oh my God, never again. Like RA is good. And you can get, I think the question is in the UK right now, let's put it this way: we probably spend 10,000 a day on stock.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't spend 10,000 a day in RA. Like it's just not possible.
No.
And so I saw that really early on. I saw that I wouldn't be able to scale it. And then also what I did see is that I am needed to do it. I have to go into the store. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying RA is not a good model to do it. Oh my God, it's super profitable. But for me and my goal, where I want to be, it wasn't that. So I was like, no, I'm not doing this at all.
No. Fair enough. Different strokes for different folks. There's no doubt about that. Someone's just posted up. Stephen's posted your YouTube link on there. So thank you for doing that, Stephen. Harminder has said, Tom, I'm sure you've inspired loads of Amazon sellers. Absolutely. But are there any Amazon sellers that have inspired you?
Yeah, hey, I think the interesting thing is like Natalie, obviously I've seen what you're doing, and I really do like you do a very different style model. Obviously I do vanilla, straight arbitrage. That is it. The most boring thing in the world. Like, what do you do? Like special? Like, no, it's just completely boring. And I love what you do in the fact that you do model. Like you do unique bundles. You're doing like the private label approach. And I think that's really eye-opening, and also what you can do with it. And also, you're very successful with it and teacher in the Elite Sellers Academy. So fantastic. So obviously, I take a lot of inspiration from that. I also look at like. I've done a bit of networking over in the US. I look at US sellers who are obviously smashing it. So wholesale Amazon Lit, I went and met them.
Yeah,
they're doing like 50 million a year. Reezy Resales, I speak to him a couple of times.
Yeah, I met him last
he's really
year.
cool. Yeah, I saw, and like, obviously not only inspirational in the fact that he's doing really well in the Amazon game, but also as well, he does the whole kind of social sharing and stuff, and I think and he's really big into family and about quality of life and just being himself, and that really comes through. So I really like that. And then obviously, Watch Me Amazon, Larry Lebolski, he's absolutely smashed it, and again, it's interesting. I think the real question is. I do look at them and I do look at what they do, and I think it's what they've achieved is incredible. And I use that as to say, right now we're going to probably do 2 million this year. We'll probably, if we continue, we're doing 300,000 a month. If we continue that next year, that's 3.6 million a year, just doing nothing, not growing. And you're like, while that sounds amazing, is like in comparison to them, it's not even that much. Like, my God, what I want to do in a year next year is what they're doing in 1 month. So, and we all know there are bigger sellers. There are much bigger sellers out there than the guys that I'm talking about now. Is the 4-minute mile thing, the limiting beliefs, like that revenue is a limiting belief. But also as well, what I do understand is that while I do look at them and I think, well done, like really amazing, it's like, do I want to do that?
Exactly. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Because
and it's
50 million is great. I say it like, oh yeah, 50 million is great. Of course, it's absolutely phenomenal, but there's a lot that comes with that as well, and it has to be right for you at that moment in time. Everything, all the planets kind of have to align a little bit for it to work for you. And this is why we always say, use these guys for inspiration, but don't get FOMO over it, because it'll drive you mad, because what they're achieving, even if everything went 100% your way and you got there and you put the grind in and you did this and you might not like it when you get to that point, because you might have to sacrifice something that makes you more happier. So
it's really interesting. And when I went and met Eric from Amazon Lit, he told me, like, we're doing like 50 million, and they were growing. They were doing 4 million a month the year before, another, and 5 million a month, or maybe it's like the month before. It's like incredible growth. But he said, like, my foot is a mess, and it got so bad because of how much he's working that he nearly lost his foot. And I was like, that's like, the doctor saved it, but it was like a really bad situation.
Was it like gout or diabetes?
I don't know the full things. He did talk about it. Kind of talk about like he was in a bad situation. But again, it's kind of like I come back to like, I want to get 6-pack abs. Yeah, I'd love to have 6-pack abs, but why? If you're willing to like eat 1,000 calories a day, exercise twice a day, for a whole year, you will get it. But why? Why do you care? And like, why do you care about getting 50 million? If like, what is that going to enable? And we talk about business and making money. What does that enable you to do? Whether you drive a Lamborghini or a Volvo, it's just a nicer 4 wheels. That's the difference. Does it mean you're any happier? No, not at all. So again, pick your battles, define what your goal is, and really ask yourself, why do I even care? So I do look at them for inspiration, but also I take it as a pinch of salt. I take it in moderation to say that is what we can achieve. We should be pushing ourselves and growing, but also as well, if I don't achieve that tomorrow, I don't really mind, because so long as I achieve what I want, which is happiness and getting better at salsa dancing, then I'll be happy.
I'm really getting the vibe that salsa dancing is like your number one goal at the moment.
Do you know why? Salsa dancing is my number one goal? Is because engineering, technical, managing teams, business, fine. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I've learned a skill to achieve where we are. Salsa dancing there's a couple of things. My dad is 80 years old and he dances 5 times a week, and he dances for like 3 hours a time. And and I just look at him and I look at like his life, and I'm like, I want that life when I'm his age. And it's the investment I do today which will enable me to live a better life in the future. It's healthy. It means you can go socialize without drinking. Also, as well, you can go and dance and meet people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a great way to meet people, dancing.
Exactly. And, someone wrote down here, you're after a wife. My God, the kind of people who learn salsa dancing, they've spent a long time to invest in themselves, a skill set, which, shows who they are. You go meet someone in a nightclub, it's a very different kind of person than someone who meets salsa dancing. And the other one is the fact that it's kind of like, what do you view your life as? Where do you want to be? And I said, what's my idea of happiness? My idea of happiness is I can retire in some kind of Spanish-speaking or Mediterranean-style climate, drinking sangria and dancing the night away. And if I can do that, that's happiness. And it doesn't mean I'm a millionaire or anything. It's just simple.
And from a female perspective, there is nothing better than a man that can dance. It is. It's primal.
I gotta learn that.
I always say that it's 100% primal. You see a man that can move, good things happen. That's all I'm going to say.
I think the other one as well is that I'm really bad at it, and it's in life we want challenges to overcome, and because it's like a challenge that I just can't do, I will do this, but it's gonna help me. And you talked about this earlier, getting comfortable. Mm-hmm. You have to be uncomfortable in your life. And right now, business is good, everything else is good, systems are good, they're running. Salsa dancing is uncomfortable, and it's scarily uncomfortable. Like I've literally gone to social dances and then been like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm walking out, I'm going home because I don't feel comfortable. And that's about my inner confidence, about who I am and overcoming these challenges. And I know that once I learn it, I will become a better person as well. Yeah, so
it is pushing yourself out of the comfort zone. There's that classic kind of saying, and it's very similar, in creative arts, singing, dancing, speaking in public. Those are some of the three biggest fears that people really do have in life. I remember reading a statistic years ago about, and it is this extreme, people would rather die than speak publicly. It's that extreme. And, putting yourself out there in a public domain is going to push you outside of your comfort zone. There's no doubt about it. And it's another level of attribution of skills.
And I had it when I was in the bowling alleys, I was quite good at social media.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at Emma's comments. She knows what I mean.
I was quite good at social media. So I basically did the social media for our bowling alley. We did really well. And then the company asked me to train every general manager in the company on how to do Facebook. So I had a big, 70 general managers in front of me, and I was going to give a presentation. And I was literally like the most nervous you've ever been. And I kind of thought to myself, like, Tom, you know what you're doing. You can do this, but because you can't deliver or communicate well, you can't teach. And I understood that problem in myself. And what did I do? I went to Toastmasters, and I did 3 years of Toastmasters practicing public speaking, and I hated it to start with. And by the end of it, I became a lot more confident. I became a lot more happy, and that served me really well in like YouTube and public speaking, and I've learned so much from that. But I think the biggest thing is always understand where you want to go, what your weaknesses are, and you've just got to feel the fear and do it. You've got to tackle it head on.
Yeah,
don't shy away.
It's interesting you say about the Toastmasters. Again, that's something my husband has always had on his bucket list to go and do the Toastmasters course. And it's a really great way of doing it. I mean, something I don't have an issue with, public speaking, never had an issue with it. The only time I did have an issue with it is when we did the OA summit, where I just sort of fell apart. I was like, oh my God. But, it's all part of the experience. It's all part of, building a certain set of skills, pushing yourself out the comfort zone. I've talked about it previously. For a really long period of time, I ran away from that feeling in my stomach of like, oh, I'm scared. I can't do this. I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to do this. But now I have the opposite, where I know if I get that feeling in my stomach, I've learned to recognize what it is. And it's a good feeling because I know that I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and I know I'm going to grow because of it.
And you get it in business, and I'll give you a really classic example. Like, my God, when we first started OA, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go spend £200 on this product. I've never spent £200 before. What if it goes wrong? And then you buy it, and maybe like you spend 1,000 in a day. Like, oh, it's a lot of money. It could go wrong. And now 1,000 in a day is like a disaster. Yeah. but it's really interesting. It's about understanding that thing and be like, I'm pushing my comfort zone. And even in business, like, when we go to grow a million or do another company, it's scary. It really is. But you've got to understand that that's the thing to say, hey, this is uncomfortable. Just sense check. If everything's right, you got to do it. So, yeah, like, fantastic.
Absolutely. Arminda has said, oh my God, I think I've just realized why my wife is trying to drag me to salsa lessons. No more comment about that. I always manage to say the wrong thing. Cindy said, I'd love to be able to make videos and go live, but I just can't get over my fear. Well, come on, never mind the buy box, Cindy. It's a great start. You know me, I can talk for England. So even if you just say 2 words, it will be a step in the right direction. You have to push yourself. I actually had 2 people last week. Well, never mind the buy box. When I did a session on my own, and somebody in the comments just turned around and said, I need to push myself more. Can I come on Never Mind the Buy Box? And I was like, yeah, of course you can. Reach out to me. The person reached out to me, messaged me, gonna be coming on in January, gonna do it. And you've just got to push yourself. You just absolutely got to push yourself to do it, because it's how you grow. It's how you expand your business, expand your skill set. And what's really interesting, and again, I was speaking about this to Sam from Blue 30 a few weeks ago, is that once you experience different levels of experience, you build different levels of skills, it helps you move into different areas. Something you've been able to do within your business. When you first, bought those sets of Lego to sell that first Q4, you couldn't, well, unless I'm wrong, but I can't imagine you thought that flipping that Lego would lead you to where you are now. And that's all through the experiences that you've learned over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just muted because I think it's a bit of background noise. It's a busy place. No, they own the whole building. It's really cool. There's lots of people. But I think, you're so right. Like, when you first start Amazon, we sit there and be like, how much money do I need to start Amazon with? £1,000, for example. You're like, that's a lot of money. And it is when you first start. Yeah. And it's super scary. It really is. But like, now you talk about like £1,000 and you're like, that's like, oh my God, like, is that it? Like, because your sense of reality changes and perception as you push through those boundaries. And it's a very interesting space. But I do agree. Like, you got to feel the fear and just do it anyway. Like, you got to do it. And I think, the way I kind of interpret it, imagine it, is like, what is that dream that you have? And for me, it's that I don't like doing this right now. Let's say, for example, like, maybe it's like, I don't like doing YouTube, for example, but my dream is that I want to be able to do this. Well, that dream to do this is going to pull me through the uncomfortableness of this. It's gotta, that's going to pull me through, and that's like feeling the fear and getting over it, because where I'm coming from is of greater importance. It's like, when you go, as a parent, you can run into a burning building to save your child, and get like 3rd-degree burns. You wouldn't run into a building, get 3rd-degree burns if you didn't have a child there. But because you've got that greater importance, it pulls you through everything. And it's just about what is that greater importance, and can you use that to your advantage?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely amazing advice there. Thank you, Tom. Lots of comments about still salsa, hips not lying, and Shakira songs. So definitely been a diverse set of conversation tonight, for sure. Cindy said, I used to be a trainer for groups of about 10 before COVID. I loved it. Maybe I'll start on recorded videos and then one day live. And that's interesting, actually, because I hate recorded videos, but I love lives. Whereas, some people prefer recorded videos, but can't deal with the live stuff. It's, it's super weird. Like I always say.
Why do you not like recorded videos?
Well, it was Karen Hudson that gave me the best bit of advice on recorded videos, because when I first started doing recorded videos, I was worried that they had to be perfect. And if you know me in real life, I am far from perfect. I'm very flawed individual, as we all are. You know, I don't try and maintain a perfect life unless in my Christmas trees, which they're pretty perfect. I'm not going to lie, they are. But apart from that, you know, I don't try, you know, I don't claim to live a perfect life or anything like that. But I was trying to do something that I wasn't myself. And it was stressing me out and I just hated it. And Karen said to me, look, you know, you're pretty good at talking, just talk. And if you say the wrong thing, just correct yourself and say, actually, do you know what? I said that, but I meant this or something like that. And that's what I did. And it was one of the best bits of business advice that I've ever received. And I'll always be grateful to Karen for that. But in terms of recording, I like interaction. I like bouncing off of someone. I like reading comments, having a laugh with people. For me, the recording side, and I'm really in awe of you and how you do it. You make it look really exciting. Whereas I just feel I'm being super boring, you know, on recording. And I just feel like I just don't like it. And again, maybe that's my own issue. But yeah.
100, I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. And I'm exactly the same. And the way I get around it is I have my team on a call with me at the same time I'm recording. So I'm not recording on my own. I have an actual conversation. And we're like, and it's really interesting because when I record on my own, oh my God, I just want to shoot myself. I'm so bored. But like when I have people to interact with, like we're having conversations and like during the recording session, I'm making jokes, I'm having us laugh, you know, we're kind of like interacting. Again, you know, like I talked about, like, I just want to have fun. You talk about when you do this, it's just fun. You're learning, you're fun, you correct, it's not a problem. But when you sit there to record, it's like, and today we're going to be talking about Amazon selling.
You sounded like a newsreader then.
I've been refining it. People are like, you're from England. I'm like, yes, Elizabeth, the Queen, she sent me.
Don't you find that when you're in a foreign country and Matt says, I'm the worst at this, my husband, he said, when someone asks you if you're from England, he said, you automatically start putting on your posh accent and you start getting even posher and you start enunciating your words a little bit more. And I'm 100% guilty of that for sure.
Me too. I understand. I agree.
Stephen says, no way, I'm going to watch all your videos differently now. Absolutely. Cindy says, haha, the Christmas trees are another level. Well, apart from, you know, I said earlier about my greatest achievement was my children. I think I'm going to take that back, actually.
Number 2, Christmas trees.
Yeah, if I lived in America, it would be a whole different story. You know, Amazon I would be a holiday decorator. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. There's just not the level of demand for it here, unfortunately. But hey, we've all got to have our goals, haven't we?
What makes you happy? That's the important thing.
It does. It makes me happy. I love doing it. Emma says, I 100% prefer recorded videos. There we go. But I've got used to the lives, but definitely find them challenging. Absolutely. But that's a good thing. You know, pushing yourself, taking you. I loved your live earlier, Emma. You know, it was packed full of value. There was loads of great information in there. And you don't realize when you do this is, you know, we're all the same. It's just, there might be someone watching that just, as long as someone just picks up like one little thing, maybe take away one little thing from it, you know, that's the reason that we all do this and we do it. And it's pretty fun as well. You know, I tell people that are interested, because I never tell people that are not interested in what I do. There's no point in boring people if they're not interested at the end of the day. But I sometimes tell people and they're like, and you find that fun. This, what I do right now, does not earn a penny for me. Never mind the buy box. It doesn't earn a penny for you, Tom. It doesn't earn a penny for anyone that comes on. Yes, you could put in the argument that someone might see you and there might be a plug and, you know, all this different type of thing. But isn't it weird? I do this, and it's without a doubt what I enjoy the most through everything. I love it. I absolutely love it. And as you've clearly stated all the way through it, you've got to have those elements of doing the things that you enjoy. Otherwise, life's boring. It's as simple as that.
There's a really interesting question that I thought about at a very young age, was about fundamental level. All of our decisions are affected by money. You know, you've got to pay the bills, you've got to eat, you've got to do these things. So at one level, there is always money. So what would happen if you never had to worry about money again? I.e., you had like 10 million in assets and they're always giving you cash flow. You know, would I cancel my Amazon business and become a painter in France? You know, on the south coast of France or something? You know, I don't really know. And the question I'm asking is like, once you start asking that question, then you can start going, well, what would I want to do? And I kind of I really enjoy business. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy being, networking, socializing. And it's like, okay, well, if that's what you would probably want to do, then how can you take parts of that and do that today? And it's not to say that you're going to remove the whole money situation, not at all, but you should try and align what you're doing day to day with what you really value in life, what you find happiness. Because people talk about, like, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Like, my God, the amount of times I've had 4 hours sleep, woken up, and I feel awful. And I mean, absolutely awful. The screen comes on, I talk to my team, I'm like, well, hey guys, how you getting on? Like, it's and same with you. Like, you probably have a bad day, you load up this and you're like, well, hey, like, this is exciting.
Matt says that to me all the time. He says, do you know what, some days that, talk about kids and things like that, obviously, but there are some days, and you just don't want to do it, but as soon as you hit that button, because you're going to enjoy it, you're going to enjoy it. It's as simple as that. And guys, you just need to find what you love. You don't have to do it every minute of every day, because that's impossible. It's unobtainable to do that. But you find those highlights, those moments in time. You get the opportunity. I see this as a privilege. There's no doubt about it. I've met people that I would never have had the opportunity to meet. I've worked with people I've never had the opportunity to meet. I'm sure you're the same, Tom. It is a real privilege. And as long as you recognize that, I think you'll always be okay. That's the way that I see it, for sure. We've got a lookalike. So Hayden says, I love chatting to someone on lives too. Hayden, you'll have to come back on and see us soon again. Erkin says, I've made some good friends through this business. I completely agree. And when we can all start proper networking again, we're definitely going to do something. And hopefully, Tom, you'll make the trip to come over and see us if we do manage to put something together at some point, once the world, well, if it returns to normal, who knows? We shall wait and see. Mike says, I've never seen you before. I thought he was talking about me at first. But you look so familiar. It's been bugging me all throughout the call. Just realized you look like Lewis Howes. Are you his long lost brother? I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't know who that is either.
No.
I'll look it up afterwards.
Yeah, there we go. Not sure. Stephen says, I can edit out my random rants from my edited videos. Live, you're stuck with me. LOL. Well, you know what? At least you didn't start talking about sexy salsa moves and, that's out in the public domain forever. I'm stuck with that now. Oh, we've got another Lewis Howes comparison saying you do look like Lewis Howes with short hair.
I'll look it up.
There we go. He's very big in the States, very inspiring entrepreneur. So lots of people know who he is, but we don't. Have to look him up afterwards for sure.
I will look him up, definitely.
Yeah.
Obviously, hopefully go meet him. Go fly over and meet him. A great excuse for an American road trip.
There we go. Yeah, for sure. Are you going to be doing any more American road trips next year?
I do. I have one of my dreams. So when I was younger, I had a dream of getting a BMW Z4 and driving the whole south coast of Europe, during the summer. It's just like aspirational dreams. Like, that would be amazing. So then I thought, well, you know what? Can I do something similar to it? So I said, well, why don't I go get a Mustang and drive America? That would be cool. And I said, well, why don't I do that? Why don't I go and interview Amazon sellers in America? So I basically, one of my goals next year is to go take 3 months out and drive the whole of America and go interview people in Q3 with a Mustang, and just document the journey. Because when you're older and be like, you see that person, be like, yeah, I've done that. That was cool. That was super cool. And I think that's the thing, is like, have aspirational goals, have something you want to achieve, and it might be 5 years down the line, but it's about, just you JFDI, just do it.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think that would be so cool, because there is such a diverse set of people in America from different states, north, south, east coast, west coast, I think that would be absolutely fascinating to see, the different walks of life through America, but people doing the same thing and, different results. So, yeah, I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. Well, we do seem to have a little bit of a Lewis Howes situation here, because literally everyone knows who he is apart from me and you, Tom.
I'll have to look it up.
A lot of people are confirming there's a similarity. Hayden says you do. I've met Lewis and I confirm he's as good looking in real life as he is on Instagram. It's a compliment. There we go. Apparently Matt Webley's met him. What is going on? I've never even heard of this guy.
We need to learn. We need to see.
I know. I feel completely out of the loop. A lot of people saying it's a compliment. He's a great guy. You should interview him. Well, I think that's the universe telling you something there, Tom, isn't it? It's got to be. But yeah, it's got to be. Cindy says USA road trip. It sounds great. Would definitely like to watch that. So Gauntlet has been thrown down.
I know. Hey, and I wanted to do it this year, ironically, and I think there are so many like benefits to it. But at the end of the day, it's again, it's just the idea of like you're going to be stuck in a car for 3 months, driving around, living out of hotels, and people might be like, "That sounds amazing," but like if you've ever lived out of hotels for a period of time, you realize how hard it is, and actually how many problems there are. So it'll be a real challenge, like it really will, and there'll be a lot to come. But I think the idea is you've just got to do it, like push yourself out your comfort zone. And I know that by making the effort to go see people, and I will learn from them, and I will grow as a person. My God, if I go meet Lewis Howe, this person sounds amazing. I'm going to learn so much. And obviously,
yeah, he's got to be top of your list. We've got a few. Hayden says, sounds like I fancy him. You were talking about him a lot, Hayden. I've got to be honest. It was coming out there a lot. Please go and interview Larry Lubarski because I love his accent. I don't know where he's from. Is he a Bostonian? Oh, is he New York?
Oh, no. So he lives in New York now, but he is. I don't know if he's a first generation immigrant. I'm not sure.
I love his accent. I love accents. I'm a sucker for an accent. So, I love listening to different dialects, the way people talk and things like that. So, yeah, put him on your list. I'd absolutely love to hear him talk about his business and everything like that for sure. Well, apart from the Lewis Howe Love Fest, it's, been absolutely amazing, Tom. Before we go, I mean, like I said, it's just 1 hour's turned into 2 and I've sucked up so much of your time, but I hope you've had fun. Definitely, it's been amazing having you on here. But what I would love to hear before we go, before we say goodbye to everyone and wish you a safe journey back to the UK is what's next for you? We've talked about, if you carry on the way that you're going, 3.6 million this year, moving into different countries, selling on different platforms and things like that. Is there anything that you're not doing now that you're going to want to do next year or the year after? Where's that kind of goal heading towards? I know there was a lot of questions in that. So
yeah, it's a really big one. And I think like I kind of writing out goals, so I think the real question comes at a very, very fundamental level is what are we seeing? So go back 10 years, this whole kind of online model trading didn't really exist, or it was only just getting started. Amazon was like 2009, I think it was. Maybe I'm wrong with that one, I don't know, 1999 or something. But the idea is that 10 years ago, the opportunity we have today didn't exist. Yeah. And if you look at the trend where it's going, what I say is at a fundamental level, you're seeing more and more and more. So for me, is like, what do I like? I really like seeing people becoming business owners, entrepreneurs, earning money, doing those things. And I very much fundamentally believe that we're going to see, the rise of the micro business, 1, 2, 3 people in a business, or maybe like one with like 2 VAs or something like that. That's going to happen. And I really love that space. And I think what I love is I love the stories of the people who have, come from like, hey, like I'm a single mom, I work in the NHS, and now I'm doing this, and actually I'm going to leave the hospital, or maybe I'm doing it part-time because of this. And you're like, and I think the real question is showing people what is possible if you're willing to overcome your own insecurities and own challenges in life. And I'm not here to be like, I want to go run a 50 million a year business. That doesn't really interest me. Yeah, we might do it, like not a problem, but it won't be like, that's what I want to achieve. What I really want to do is kind of like be around the people who are just changing lives. And I think that's, and I think at a very fundamental level, the world is going to be an amazing place. And I think sharing that story and being part of that, whether that be Amazon, whether that be eBay, whether that be like Amazon 2.0 or whatever that might be in the next 10 years, could be really interesting.
Meta. It's going to be, Facebook and the metaverse and, all of these different things. It's the future. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No,
but the opportunity, and I've talked about this so much this year since COVID, the world has accelerated at a rate that nobody expected. Amazon warehouses were shutting down because nobody could have predicted this could have happened unless you're a conspiracist or, something like that, obviously. But what I'm saying is the opportunity now has got even bigger. I completely agree. I remember watching before COVID, and I don't normally watch this guy, and I think things always happen for a reason, but I was watching a Gary Vee video, and it links in with what you said. And he talked about social media, the growth of social media, what's going to be possible in the future. And he was referring to Coca-Cola in particular, the brand. They've had to spend billions to get where they are. No doubt about it. Big global brand. You can't walk into a restaurant, you can't walk into a shop without knowing that brand. But, they've paid their pound of flesh, 100 years of, failures, of all of these different types of things. And he was talking about the opportunity that people have and that is presented in front of them, that the average person has the ability to be able to grow a business as big as Coca-Cola or whatever, from no form of formal education, through, no big financial head start in life, not getting like Donald Trump, $1 million loan or a $10 million loan from your daddy, or, something like that everybody's kind of on this equal peg now, equal level, and because of the opportunity that is available. And if you can recognize that, if you can see that, if you can adopt it, no matter where you go, no matter what happens, as long as you put the ability to be able to do it, that there's no excuse really, because the opportunity is there and the opportunity is ready to be grabbed, and you've got to be the one to do it at the end of the day. And that always really stuck with me, and that was before COVID. So I thought that before COVID, and since COVID, I think that's just been amplified even more now. The opportunity, the ability, and especially a lot of what we do in Elite Sellers, for people to build their own brand, to compete with high street brands, to do 7 figures, to do 8 figures, to build it, to sell across global different platforms, multi-channel platforms, different, whatever, physical shops, online shops. It just blows my mind. It really does. And I completely agree. I feel the future is really, there's no limit to it.
Yeah. It's an amazing world we live in, and the world has only got better. I always read these questions like, if there was any time in the whole of history you could ever live, when would it be? And everyone's like, now. Right now is the best time in the whole of history. Quality of life, education, healthcare, satisfaction, work-life balance. It's today, and it's only going to get better. And it's a really interesting thing. And I think for me is like, personally in my space right now, like, I'm in a really good place in my life, but also as well where we're going, it's only going to get better. But I don't need to be much better, if that makes sense. Like, I don't need the Lamborghini. But what I do, right, because I like to be involved in the community, and I do like to kind of like learn about it and see about it and share what's going on. And I think really it's to share that kind of that emotion, that energy about like, this is an amazing time to be living in, and and just take advantage of it, like, because it can change your life. And I love hearing that. And I hate to say it, but it is true. You find satisfaction and happiness when you help others.
Yeah.
You can have all the money in the world, but it doesn't mean you're happy. But it's when you help someone else, and when you communicate with them, when you work with them, and when you network, that have the social syncs. And you don't need money to do that. You need, it's just about the willingness to put yourself out there and have that conversation and to learn. So I really enjoy that. And I think, and I feel blessed. I really do. I feel blessed for the fact that I can go travel to America. I can go to a 3-month road trip, or I can go to the UK and speak to people. And everything that I'm doing is about enabling me to continue to do that, communicate, network, be part of the communication. And that I feel really happy about. So, I think for me, it's just, and again, I come back to what's the big goal? Just have fun. That's it. Have fun.
Cool.
And learn to self-dance.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, some very good suggestions here. We've got, I don't know who said it, Fast Track Salsa. Why haven't Why haven't you thought of that, Tom?
Because I've got to learn to dance first, and that hasn't happened.
There we
Next
go.
year.
It's Stephen that said that. So yeah, I'd get that domain name pretty quick if I were you. I feel there's a future in that for sure. Jane says, "Oh my God, amazing session, so inspirational, and a great reminder to focus on what you're looking to achieve and not get sucked into the day today for the whole year. Then realize you had goals, forgot to check them throughout the year." Or is that just me? I think that's supernatural. I think everybody, falls into that trap. And, it's why I will say revisit, check them, as Tom said, but most of all, write them down. Be specific about them, with why you want to achieve that goal. That's so important. People do forget to do that. Absolutely. Because anyone can say, I want a £5 million house, but why? Why do you want a £5 million house? Because I tell you what, the thing you've got to consider, if you've got a £5 million house, it's going to be a hell of a big, expensive electricity bill.
Agreed.
And especially if you've got a pool as well. Just saying. First world problem.
There's an interesting thing. Like when I had my personality test, they were like, "You're the guy who just asks why over and over and over again, like annoyingly asks why." Because I do want to understand. Yeah, like why, but why? And I really love that. I love getting into the detail of it and understanding. But top tip about you if you are looking at the goals, and a couple of things that I do. Put it on a Google Doc, and every time you load up Google, Chrome, that's the page that first loads up. Not Google, it's your goals. It's the first thing that loads up. Number 2, print it out, stick it on your bathroom mirror. You see that at least twice a day. I even sometimes I put to the point where I really want to embed them. I'll put them on every door in the house. I don't care if people see them. My God, this is what I want to achieve. And visibility is key. When you're about to go, oh yeah, I'm going to go out with my friends and we're going to get pissed. And and then I get to the front door and I see my goals and I'm like, but this isn't going to help my goals. And I need to be focusing on that. Hey guys, I'm really sorry. I'll come out for one. That's it. Or I'm not going to. I need to do something. Again, priorities, focus, understand where you want to be, have that pool, and always be checking in on them, and don't hide them away somewhere.
We are so guilty of that, and it's just reminded me that I need to get that picture of my 25-year-old self and stick it on the fridge. We've got to do that because if you forget about it, you don't do it. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. There's no doubt about that. So please check in with your goals.
Put it on your phone, the screensaver.
Yeah. Never heard anyone say about putting that on the front page of Google. That's an amazing suggestion. So thank you very much for that, Tom. Really appreciate it. Mike said on your phone as well. Absolutely. Mike says, so true, Tom. Route to true contentment, happiness is to help others. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It really does feel amazing. There's no doubt about it. And I was one of the people that was really skeptical about when I used to hear people say that. I'd be like, yeah, but I'm sure you love the money more kind of thing. But it is, and you do feel like it's a cliche. But when someone sends a message, someone sends, I achieved this today or I achieved that today, and that you were maybe a small cog in the wheel of why that happened or how it happened or something like that. Amazing feeling. Absolutely amazing. So, if you can, guys, help each other. That's what these communities are for. And what goes around comes around. That's the way I see it for sure. Peter says, I realize I need to sort my life out after this conversation. I'm sure it's not that bad, but anything, you can take away from tonight. We really, really want people to, to achieve good things out of the conversations that we have here for sure. Tom, like I said, it's been 2 hours. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the time you spent with us. And I know you said to me 2 hours ago, and by the way, I know you didn't say it because you were like, wrap it up and make it quick, but you were like, I need to get stuff done. I'm flying home tomorrow. So I really appreciate the time that you've given us tonight. It's been fabulous. There's been numerous gold nuggets. I'm sure that, looking back, in a year's time, there'll be people that have watched this tonight and watched on the replay that have taken things, put them into action and got results out of tonight. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for the interaction tonight. We've had a bit of a laugh as well, which I do enjoy the most. Guys, this goes out on YouTube as well. So if you are watching via YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, drop us a comment I'm like the worst like YouTuber or whatever. I'm not even a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. I can't call myself a YouTuber when I'm sat with you. But I'm like the worst person in the world for asking for likes and things like that. But you know, it's quite nice to see a few thumbs up on there. So if you can, please make sure you do. I need to bring my daughter on to ask for the subs and the likes and things like that. She'd sucker anyone into doing it. Emma says, thanks. Great lives. Thanks for sharing your words of wisdom. All credit to Tom for sure. Thanks both. This is well worth the time. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad everyone's enjoyed it. Tom, safe journey home. Let us know that you've landed okay, and I hope you get some sleep on the flight. Get that well and rest. You pop a Xanax beforehand?
I have no idea. I fly at 9 o'clock at night, so it's quite nice.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad. That's not too bad for sure. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to be back again at 7 o'clock next week. I've got an exciting, if tonight wasn't exciting enough, I have got someone that is coming on to talk about their own brand that they have built next week and the success that they have experienced throughout doing that this year. So that's going to be an exciting one because I know a lot of people are interested in that at the moment. So definitely one not to be missed. But we are hurtling towards the end of the year. There is no doubt about it, guys. Really do enjoy this time because, you know, this is some of the best time absolutely in the year to be an Amazon seller. So it's definitely a great time to really enjoy the spoils of, you know, the hard work for the rest of the year. But yeah, Tom, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. Check out Tom Fast Track FBA YouTube channel. Stephen posted the link in the comments, and yeah, we will see. Well, I'll see everyone next week. I'm sure you'll see people as well, Tom. Yeah, have a great week, guys.
Thank you for having me, and obviously thank you for watching. So thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.